I talked to Javier Mendez, and Javier said that Khabib did. It's true that he did move his camp back to Russia. My only concern, as I was going to bring this up, my only concern was that an article just came out the other day saying that Russia has now locked down their traveling, so he may not be able to leave Russia now that he is there. So what does that do?
Dana's gonna lose his mind.
What does that do? My only thing is, I wonder if I know for sure because he's got Khabib's got a ton of connections in Dubai as well as in Saudi Arabia. I've heard that the fight is definitely not in Saudi Arabia. So I don't know. But I would imagine he'd be able to fly private out of Russia somehow to get to a fight if he needed to.
Yes.
And I'm sure that he could probably put even a phone call into Putin and be like, hey, I need to get out for this thing.
Yep.
I'm sure
there's no doubt he will get to wherever he needs to get. And from what, Dana's holding that thing close, to the vest.
He needs to.
Yeah, he does but he does have, certain locations. They're all available to him. But from what I hear, they might not be leaving the States here. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah. Kind of surprised.
I mean, okay, I'm not trying to get political, guys. Trump just put out the thing saying that he's hoping to lift this whole travel ban by Easter. I think it's a little far-fetched, but I think in some states that they'll be allowed to do whatever it is they want to do. Now, the only thing is that when you have people that are flying from Seattle, from the Bay Area, because we're one of the hotbeds, you have to put some sort of travel ban on those areas. New York, I don't know. We'll see. But if he's coming from Russia, he's out. He could be considering himself self-quarantined right now for the next back at home in Dagestan, where there's not a lot of outbreaks. And so if he can be able to travel from there back to here for the fight, that's 14 days. More than 14 days of just self-quarantine, basically, where he can just train there with his family, whoever's there. So, then you wouldn't have to worry about leaving from the Bay Area, which is like one of the hotbeds for this thing.
And look, they have enough time. The UFC has enough time if they want, get yourself all scheduled up and ready with, a medical facility where they can test everybody for, that coronavirus, make sure they can show, boom, none of them have it. And so everything is good. And obviously they're not going to have fans at the fight. So it's just going to be for TV. But I've wanted to see this fight for a long time. This is the 5th time. If it doesn't happen, that's 5 times this fight goes down.
You don't think they're going to have, they're going to have fans?
No, they will not have fans. Absolutely not. April 18th, that will not happen. No fans.
I think a fight, are you because they're worried about the coronavirus, or you think because they can't sell the tickets? I think they can sell the tickets for sure.
No, they could sell the tickets. That's not the problem. It's because of the virus and because of the bans on how many people gathering. It would, the entire visual for the UFC to hold that event would look bad if you had fans there. You can do it just putting on the fights. That doesn't look bad. But if you were going to say, we're going to sell tickets to this and bring everybody together, that's just not going to.
But even if they lift the ban, like on, hey, okay, everyone go ahead and go, let's try to resume back to normal. Just be cautious, be careful. Like if they do it nationwide, you think still that they wouldn't have fans?
I don't think so. Not for that fight. I think they're going to, they've planned it out. They will take it to the end. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put it in this place. We're going to do the production. We're going to have our people there. But no fans, same as, in Brazil at Brasilia, the last show they did, it will be in that same type of realm.
That's fucking crazy.
It is crazy when you think of that fight, but what other fight could you think of and say, yep, that's just the last little bit that you need to know about that fight, since they couldn't get it going for how long. And when they finally put them together, they can't have any fans at it.
Who does that affect more between Tony and Khabib on the fans?
I'm telling you, I honestly think it affects Khabib more. Khabib likes the charge. He sits there and, he plays off of fans at times. He likes to talk to people cage side. I mean, he's been so dominant in every fight that I ever did of his. He just dominated guys. I mean, you take a look at the two guys, and I think Khabib has 12 fights in the UFC, all wins. Tony's last 12 fights, Tony's probably about 16 fights, 15, 16 in the UFC. If you don't count the Ultimate Fighter, show itself, that would put him up somewhere around 18, 19. But his last 12 fights are all wins. You look at guys that they have fought. Tony fought Abel Trujillo. Khabib fought Abel Trujillo. Okay, now Khabib, I think, set the UFC record for takedowns against Abel Trujillo, but Tony Ferguson finished Abel Trujillo.
Yeah.
All right. Edson Barbosa, both guys fought. I did both of those fights. And, Khabib just was manhandling Edson. And Tony ended up getting the finish.
But he got rocked in that fight.
Decision went. Yeah, he did. He got rocked, but I can pull out ones that. Here's the one that's different. Michael Johnson, both guys fought. Khabib ended up submitting Michael Johnson, beat him up for 2.5 rounds, basically. He did get hurt.
Yes, he
did. Khabib was definitely hurt by Michael Johnson in that fight. Michael Johnson ended up winning a unanimous decision easy. I think it was 30-27 on all the scorecards against Tony. Now, it wasn't that it wasn't a close fight. It was a good fight. But if you watch Tony back then, that was probably somewhere around 2012, 2013. Tony's a completely different fighter now.
Yeah.
Completely different. In that fight, as I remember, Tony didn't really press forward like he does now. He did things completely. He was looking for the one big punch a lot against Michael, and Michael was piecing him up with great footwork and just touching him, and then started landing. Michael being a southpaw fighter, Tony doesn't do as well with southpaw fighters. They give him some problems. He's gotten better with it, no doubt. But back then, he really had a problem with a guy that was a southpaw. And so Tony was trying to land the big one punch. Michael wasn't even thinking about just landing the one punch. He was just thinking, I'm just going to keep touching you, and I'll let you taste a couple of hard ones in here. Just fought a much smarter, better fight. So you can look at it and say, well, I can point out where Tony finished a bunch of guys that Khabib did not. And I can point out, well, Khabib beat the guy that ended up beating Tony. But that was too far. That was too long ago.
Yeah.
Tony's a different fighter in the way he does things. So I do think that off of watching both of them, Tony goes in his zone. He doesn't really care about who's there or what. He's got that focus. I just come forward now. And I think since he has fought on The Ultimate Fighter and fought with no crowds, he would have a better idea and a better experience based upon at least that past education than Khabib would.
100% agree.